Hello everyone, welcome to our Youth Empowered Speakers Program webinar. First off, I just want to acknowledge we are grateful for the speakers who hold on to their languages, and we celebrate you and the important work that you do. We will be holding a question and answer webinar on January 9th, 2025 from 12 to 1 p.m. This will be held through Zoom, and you can find the link to register for that on our funding guide as well as on our webpage. And in this specific webinar, I'm going to be taking you through how to apply to the Youth Empowered Speakers Program. I just want to take a second and introduce our team. So my name is Becky Wesley, and I'm the Language Program Associate for the Youth Empowered Speakers Program, and I will be your main point of contact. So any questions or anything that comes up that you may need help or support with, please reach out to me. And then we have our Language Program Coordinator, Aurora Skyla. She will be helping me out with any questions or anything that rolls in through our email as well. And then on our grader team, we have Anna Sosha and Peter Underwood, who work in the mentor-apprentice program as well. And then I just want to introduce to you our grader team as well. So Aurora, myself, Anna, and Peter, we all work together on the MAP and YES team. And then we have Thea Harris, who is our Language Strategies Program Manager, Aliana Parker, who's our Language Program Director, and then Suzanne Geschner, who is our Research and Development Linguist as well. And now I'm just going to go in and tell you a little bit about who we are as First Peoples Cultural Council. So this slide here is just a brief overview of FPCC, covering the big main points, and some of the key facts to know about FPCC is we are an Indigenous Crown Corporation. We have a board of directors with representation from all 36 languages of BC. We have been around since 1990 following the legislation for language, art, and culture of BC First Nations. As an organization, we serve all 36 languages Indigenous to BC, so that includes the 204 BC First Nations, as well as our urban Indigenous population. So folks living away from community, but in the cities within BC. As an organization, we support revitalization, reclamation of arts, language, and Indigenous cultural heritage. Here at First People Cultural Council, we have 3 departments that include language, arts, and heritage departments. And of course, we are here today to talk to you about language, but if you are interested in any of our arts or heritage, I encourage you to check out our website or sign up for our newsletter to see what other grant opportunities there are. In addition to providing these type of grants, we also provide all sorts of services to communities. These include funding, training, professional development, resources, and coaching. Really, every person on our team here is here to support these 3 main pieces, and we will get into that in a bit more on the next slide. Our vision here at FPCC is Indigenous languages, arts, and cultural heritage here in BC are thriving. The knowledge and worldviews expressed through Indigenous languages, arts, and cultural heritage are valued as essential to our collective and well-being and human rights. So today we're here to talk specifically about the Youth Empowered Speakers Program. You'll often hear us refer to it as YES, and that's the acronym that we use for it. Before we dive in, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our funder. The Youth Empowered Speakers Program is funded by the Department of Canadian Heritage with the federal government. They support a lot of our initiatives to do with language learning and language sharing. And we will talk a little bit more about the funding breakdown a little bit later on. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our funder for the YES program. We are grateful for their funding and support so we can offer this program. So who is eligible for the YES program? BC First Nations adults aged 18 to 35, living on or off reserve in BC, status or non-status, and learning one of our BC 36 Indigenous languages. So what is YES? It's a pretty unique grant program. We are really excited to be offering this program. It's fairly new. We're entering our 4th year as we started in 2021. And it's a unique program. There isn't really anything like it in the province or even the country. So we're really excited to share what the program brings and what type of applicants we'll be looking for. The program was specifically designed for youth aged 18 to 35. And the goal of the program is to support the professional development for careers in language revitalization. It's a combination of your language learning, your work experience or work internship, and your post-secondary. And we will go more in depth with these areas in a little bit as well. What is the vision? So, although we have been running the Youth Empowered Speakers program for a few years now, the goal of the program is for it to be a multi-year program and one that can support the youth through a large chunk or through the entirety of their post-secondary journey. The program is really unique and looks very different from one youth to another and their education journey. At this time, we're only able to guarantee 1 year of funding at a time, as we rely on our funders to make sure that we have the funds to support our grants, and also just to make sure that our participants are keeping up with their reporting deadlines and things like that. Overall, the goal is to support the youth for several years as they complete their education. And, our vision is to help develop fluency in your language. You gain experience and connections in your desired career field, and you complete your post-secondary education. So why did we start this program? FPCC has a lot of other great programs, so why does this one have an important place in our collection of programs? The first thing to keep in mind and think about: our youth are motivated language learners. It's been proven time and time again, when youth are involved in language revitalization and language projects, the efforts succeed. Youth bring their passion, their energy, their dedication, and we really see big changes in the right direction when youth are involved. Another reason we wanted to create this program is because there's definitely a gap in terms that there is a shortage of immersion language teachers and language revitalization staff in communities. So we wanted to work with communities to have opportunities to create positions or have people trained so that they can work in these positions. Also, without a program like YES, it can be difficult to gain language proficiency and on one hand and get a career-focused education at the same time. So at least in the BC context, we often run into the context where you have motivated people who have the language skills but don't have the formal teaching education. And on the other hand, you have someone who is trained teacher but doesn't have the language skills, so they can't offer that immersion environment. So the goal of the program is to be able to combine the two so that we can support you to get the language skills that they need, as well as the professional skills they need in order to create one of these 3 career paths. So in the Youth Empowered Speakers program, we use the mentor-apprentice method. And this is a one-on-one language program where a motivated youth and a fluent speaker spend time together in language immersion. This requires a high level of commitment and motivation. It increases fluency for adult learners, strengthens intergenerational relationships, recognizes expertise of elders and mentors, and can lead to healing and enhanced well-being. So, information about mentoring. No teaching experience is necessary to mentor a youth. The program does not include reading, writing at all. The mentor only needs to spend time speaking in the language with the youth. And we provide examples of activities for mentors and youth can do in the language and provide training and coaching. Mentors are awarded $40 an hour for immersion hours. About the youth. No language experience is needed for this program. All training is provided by us. Administration of the grant is handled by the youth, including the application and all reporting. The youth is awarded $25 an hour for immersion hours after each 100 hours reporting is completed and submitted to us through the grant portal. So in the YES program, we support 3 different career paths in language revitalization. The first one is as an immersion teacher, so someone who's teaching the language through immersion in a band school or public school. The other stream is an ECE worker, so you're working in a childcare center, working in a language nest, and you're providing immersion for young children. And the third stream we have is a language revitalization stream, and you could be a language administrator, a tech person, a planner, a project manager, and many more different options. In this third stream, though, we just ask that you send us an email and let us know what your career path is and get approval from us beforehand. So this slide here goes over how the program works, and I will say that this is the big picture. This is what the program looks like over several years. You will see or hear different numbers depending on where you look, but it's commonly regarded that it takes between 900 to 1,000 hours to become proficient speaker of a language. So that's why we aim for such a high number of hours. For someone who wanted to become an immersion teacher, in the YES program, it would consist of the following components. So you'd be doing your mentor-apprentice, your one-on-one hours with your mentor, learning the language. And technically, that's about like 960 hours. And then the second component is your work experience. So during the summer, you would be supported in your community doing an internship, and the goal of the internship is for the youth to be creating language resources. And this will look different for each community depending on what the needs are. But the youth will work with the community to create these resources and use their language skills to be able to share these resources with others. And then lastly, there's the education piece. So the youth will be attending post-secondary for a Bachelor of Education, and then it's the same for each stream. So for the ECE worker, it would be completing 1,000 hours, mentor-apprentice hours, which is the one-on-one immersion hours again with their mentor. They'd gain their work experience through a daycare or childcare center or language nest. And then they'd also be working on their post-secondary education at the same time as well. So they'd be working around young children. And it's the same for the language revitalization stream. You'd be working, doing your mentor-apprentice hours, your language learning. And then you do your work experience with an Indigenous organization around language, supporting usually a community or your own community. And then you'll be doing that alongside your post-secondary education as well. So here is a guideline of what the timeline will look for this upcoming year. The YES program will start in May, and we will have our in-person training in June. And during the training, we'll be going through and going over the program orientation and all the guidelines and setting you up for success for the year. And then we'll also be giving you a chance to connect with other MAP teams and our upper YES teams as well. And then from June to August, you're going to begin your one-on-one MAP immersion hours with your mentor. So ideally working between 10 to 15 hours a week. In May, you'll also be starting your community internship program, which is 16 weeks. And this is usually 20 hours a week. Here you'll be working with your community to create those resources for 16 weeks. And then between your one-on-one immersion hours and your internship, it's considered full-time work. And then usually from September to April, it's the academic year. So youth will be in school and we don't have a lot of expectations of as you're in school. It's a very busy time for most youth. So most of the youth get their hours done in the summer, but it's also dependent on how many hours you are applying for. So in the YES program, you can apply for 100, 200, or 300 hours. And so hopefully, you'll be getting the bulk of that done during the summer, and then you can work towards it when you have some time in through the school year. And yeah, like we said, it's really dependent on the youth and their school schedule, as every program is super unique. So this is just a little guideline or at the year at the glance. So this program is open to all BC First Nations youth aged 18 to 35. So anybody in that age range who identifies as an Indigenous youth can be living on or off reserve. So whether they're in your community or in a big city or somewhere in between. The only requirement is that the youth must be completed high school by the end of June 2025. So that we can support them in their post-secondary journey if they haven't already started. And because this program is tied to post-secondary education, we also need proof of enrollment for an ECE, your Bachelor of Education, or your program stream that you're in for the community language revitalization. And that has to be into us by June 27th, 2025. If the youth is enrolled in an eligibility fluency program and they're wanting to continue on after that to get an ECE or a Bachelor of Education, they are also encouraged to apply as well. And like I said earlier, for the language revitalization stream, the program of study must be pre-approved by staff. So the youth can just send us an email and we can work out all the details with the youth. So how much funding can I get? If you're looking for an exact number, you can have a look in our funding guide or on our website. And I'll just go over this breakdown with you. So the mentor-apprentice portion of the grant, the apprentice or the youth stipend is $25 an hour. The mentor stipend is $40 an hour, and we cover your in-person training and travel. So say the youth signs up for 100 hours for the YES program, that would be $2,500, and the mentor would be getting $4,000 for the 100 hours. There's also a tech top-up that is also provided, and you can get up to $1,200 in that as well. For your community internship, this one is paid directly to your community or the community, but the apprentice or the youth will receive $25 an hour plus benefits. There's a 10% admin fee that goes to the community as well, and it's 20 hours a week for a total of 16 weeks. So what's the timeline after you submit? So application deadline is January 31st, 2025. Your application will go to our peer review committee early February 2025. Our shortlisting process will take place late to mid-February. And notice of acceptance will go out late February 2025. Our YES in-person orientation workshop is scheduled from June 6th to 8th, 2025 in Victoria, and the program will run May 1st, 2025 to March 1st, 2026. So this is just our FPCC outline of what happens, sort of what I talked about on the previous slide as well. And you can go to our FPCC website and look at the different grants that are available. It's definitely worth checking out if you have some time. You will find the YES one there as well. But if you take a moment to have a look over the grant guidelines, it'll give you some more information, more details about the program, the funding breakdown and what the different pieces of the grant are. If you want to apply, you can go to our FPCC grant portal and submit an online application. If you have any difficulties with this, of course, please reach out to me or my team at the YES email, and we can definitely connect with you. And then, like I said, once the YES deadline has passed, all applications will go to our peer review process. And finally, once we have reviewed all the applications, we will notify applicants of our decisions. And as mentioned, that will happen mid to end of February. So it just walks, this graph just walks you through the same process that I just talked about. So as I mentioned before, there are quite a few different pieces that go into the application process. We definitely recommend starting it sooner than later, as there are many areas that you need to complete. And if you do need support, definitely reach out to us, as we're happy to help in any way that we can. As I mentioned before, you'll want to have a look at the funding guide. In this, it'll give you more information about the finer details of the grant and what we're looking for, and break things down for you. The next thing you'll need to do is find a mentor, a speaker of your language who can work with you one-on-one for those immersion hours over the summer, and perhaps during the school year as well, if you like. You will need to register on the grant portal and begin your application. And you will also need to find a community internship supervisor and have them complete the work term form as well. So in the application, there's a spot for you to name the person and their phone number, so that that way we can connect with them when your internship comes. And we also ask you to provide an alternate as well, because just in case the first one falls through, that you have a backup plan for your summer internship as well. So you'll also need to go and register on our new grant portal 2.0 and begin an application. Apply for a post-secondary program or submit your proof of enrollment as well. And of course, you can always call or email YES at fpcc.ca if you have any questions or concerns, or you just want some support. We are able to help you with that as well. So here at FPCC, we're currently transitioning to a new and improved grant portal as well. So all new applications for the YES must be made on the new portal, which is fpcc.citizen1.ca. And there are also some how-to guides on the information page as well if you need additional support. Or you can always reach out to myself or Aurora if you have any questions or struggling with the new system as well. So creating a grant portal account, you will log in or go to our FPCC citizen1.ca, and it'll bring you to the screen here, and you'll fill in your middle name, your last name, and email, and then you'll also create a password. And also on this page, you'll have some video guides available as well to help walk you through. And we're going to watch a video on the next slide as well that will help walk you through. It'll say the MAP grant, but it's very similar to the YES application. It's just a step-by-step guide, and we'll show you how to and what the grant portal system looks like, and information fields, what they look like in the application process.
Welcome to this video tutorial. In this video, I will demonstrate how to complete an online application for an FPCC grant. The first step is to go to the website. You can enter fpcc.citizen1.ca to your internet browser and navigate to the website. Once you're at the login page, you can enter the email and the password that's used for your account, and then click Login. From the home page, you'll be able to see all the available grants listed in these squares. Each square will have the title of the grant, and below a brief description about the program. To begin applying, click the title. From this page, you can find more information about the grant by clicking the links below. There's a link for the FPCC website and another link for the program guidelines. Before you begin applying for the grant, you need to complete a brief onboarding process. To begin, click the button which says Onboard. This screen will lay out the steps for the onboarding process. To proceed, click Continue. Page, you'll be able to view the terms and conditions for the specific program which you are applying for. You need to accept this policy to continue. By accepting this policy, you're also agreeing for FPCC to view your email and your name. To proceed, click I have read and accept terms and conditions, and then click I consent. If you do not consent, click I do not consent, and you'll leave the application process. Next, you'll need to verify your contact details. Click Continue. Click Continue again to proceed. On this page, you can check if your name is correct and your email address is also correct. You can also enter a preferred name. Once you're ready, click Confirm. Click Continue again. So you have successfully completed the onboarding process. To begin applying for the grant, click the button in the bottom right. So you now be able to start the application. You can click the Apply For button here. The first section of the application is an eligibility page. Here you can read the eligibility criteria. You'll need to answer the questions to proceed. If you are eligible, you can proceed to the rest of the application. You will see that new tabs appear for you to choose different sections of the application, as well as a Next button at the bottom of the page. The online application uses different types of questions. You can see there's text boxes, there are drop-down menus where you can select one or more options. There are checkboxes where you can have multiple answers, radio buttons where you can only select one. Clicking some questions may review more relevant questions. When you go to a different section of the application, you don't need to save between viewing a different section. Once you've completed all the questions, in the final section of the application, you will see a Submit button. Click this to submit your application. If you want to save your application and complete it later, you can click Save and return to Dashboard. Later, you can go back to this page here, scroll down, and you will see your application under Draft Submissions. Click Continue Application to start it again. Then you'll be able to finish your application and submit it.
So what's in the application? So from the youth, we will need the completed application form. In there, we'll include a letter of intent with your resume or biography. You'll need a letter of support for you and your mentor from someone in your community, and a schedule with a plan to complete how you're going to complete your one-on-one map hours. Information we'll need from your mentor is their legal name, their contact information, age range, which band or nation they belong to, a letter of intent, and also their resume or a biography as well. So continuing on from the previous slide, from your community, you'll need a signed and dated letter of support from your community, contact information of a potential supervisor from a community organization, a daycare or school, or someone who agrees to support you in your work internship. And then you'll also need to submit your proof of enrollment, and that must be provided by June 27th, 2025 as well. So here are some tips for a strong application. Number one, provide as much detail as possible about your connection with your mentor, your goals for passing on the language, your language learning goals, which is what you want to learn with your mentor during your sessions, your schedule and how you're going to make time for the program, and your career goals. What are your ultimate career goals and how are you going to incorporate the language into those? Number two, reach out to us at yes@fpcc for a guaranteed one-on-one application support or feedback before January 13th, 2025. We will do our best to answer all questions after the deadline, the January 13th deadline. However, if you want a detailed one-on-one application review, please reach out to us before the January 13th deadline, as near the end we get a lot of inquiries and sometimes it's hard to keep up. But yeah, if you as you work through things, it's even helpful if you just reach out to us for support when you get stumped on things. So like we said in other previous steps, you're going to log on to the grant portal and create your personal profile or sign in to your existing account if you've applied to us before. You're going to want to use an email also that you check regularly, as this will be our main way to contact you regarding your grant. And you'll want to also create a password that you're not going to forget. There is a password recovery if you do forget, but you're going to want to create something that you're not going to forget. And then you're going to fill out the application form for the Youth Empowered Speakers Program under language grants. So as you work through the application, you're going to want to fill anything in with a red asterisk, as it's a required field. So as you'll see here in the screenshot here, if you want to proceed forward, it'll highlight something, an area you've missed in the application. You'll just have to go back and fill it out. So that's just one thing as you're working your way through. Just make sure everything with a red asterisk is filled in as you proceed to move forward. So in part of the YES application too, you are required to submit a letter of intent. So you must include one for yourself as the youth or the apprentice and one from your mentor. You are allowed to have up to 3 mentors. So if you are going to decide that you're going to work with 3 mentors, you will need a letter of intent from each of them. And in these letters, you should describe your mentor's language fluency, availability and commitment to the work, their current involvement with the language, the relationship to the mentor or the youth, and future plans for involvement with the language. How will you use the fluency gained through this program to share the language with others as well? Language learning goals and outcomes. So for this section, you're going to want to describe your current language level, describe the language skills you hope to gain in your mentor-apprentice work, list any topics of areas of interest the team will focus on during your mentor-apprentice hours together. And the more information and the details we have, the stronger your application is. So, list of topic areas. It could be canning fish or fishing are some ideas, some medicines that you want to learn about, or different plant names. Whatever your interest is in the language, just make sure that it's discussed in your application. And then the language skills you hope to gain, is listing all the different parts of the plant, listing the different names of the fish, the different parts of the fish, whatever, the more details you give us, like we said, the stronger your application will be. So the more you can detail that throughout in your language learning goals, the better it'll be. So you will see when you get to the schedule part of the application, there's 3 schedule streams for mentor-apprentice hours that you can choose to do. There's a 100, 200, or 300 hours a year. So the S program is a 10-month program. So whether you choose to do the 100, 200, or 300 hours, you'll have 10 months to complete your mentor-apprentice hours. So the schedule is based on how many hours you want to do. So with the 200 and 300 hours, the bulk of your hours are getting done during the summer. So through May to August, you'll complete like 160 hours. And then depending on whether you choose 200 or 300 hours, you will need to complete the additional hours during the winter and spring months to reach your goal. So the sample schedule worksheet is based on the 16 weeks from May to August when you will be doing your internship as well. So the rest of the hours, if you're doing more than 100 hours, could be spread out through the 10 months that you choose to do it, but it's just got to be done before March 1st. So this is a sample what the team schedule looks like in the application. So you'll fill this out based on your discussion with your mentor and which hours work better for you around your internship and around your schooling. There is a template that will be provided to you for assistance. And like I said, you'll want to include the hours that you plan to work together per day for each day of the week. There is a second additional schedule, like if you're going to do the 200 or 300 hours, you might want to fill out the additional schedule to show how you're going to do those extra hours throughout the other months you're in school. And ensure to fill out the box when you intend to carry out most of your mentor-apprentice work. So if you're committing a large chunk of your hours on the weekend, just make sure it's recorded here for us. Panel evaluations. So in your YES application, you're going to have to name 3 fluent panel evaluators, and these are going to be different people from your mentor or mentors. You're going to also want to check with these panel members to see if they'd be willing to be a part of your panel evaluations. And although in this slide we call them panel evaluations, they're more like a showcase of the work that you're doing with your mentor. So after you complete every 100 hours, you'll be required to do panel evaluations and submit a form. And your panel members will receive $150 per panel. And say you choose the 300 language immersion hours that you want to do throughout the year, you'll be able to submit 3 panels. If you do 200, it's 200. If you do 200 hours, it's 2 panels, and 100 hours, it's 1 panel. And you'll also get an additional $50 for snacks and refreshments for your meeting. Also, a part of the application will require a community letter of support. So the letter should demonstrate the community's level of support for the mentor-apprentice team and for the language learning work. This letter does not have to be from a chief and council. It can be from a community member or someone that is supporting the language work that you plan to do with your mentor. So if there's someone that's very good at advocating for language in your community and you have a good relationship with them, you will want to reach out to them to see if they can provide a letter of support for you and your mentor to include in your application. So as part of the YES application, you'll also have a work term, or as we refer to it as an internship. and it relates to your program stream. So if you're an early childhood educator, it might be in a childcare center or a language nest. You'll want to reach out to the coordinator or the manager there and ask them if they'd be willing to supervise your work term. We are also requesting youth provide an alternate organization to work with, just in case the first choice falls through. And the grant is provided directly to the organization for your internship. So you're just providing the information. We reach out to the organization and set everything up, answer any questions before you actually start your internship. So team administration. So unless otherwise indicated, the apprentice or the youth is the team administrator. So the administrator is the primary contact for First Peoples Cultural Council, and the administrator or the youth is responsible for all written correspondence directed to the team will be sent directly to the youth, being the primary point of contact for us. So if anything comes up, we'll be reaching out to the youth with regards to their grant. And they'll also be in charge of completing all YES reports and submitting it to us by our deadlines. And email and phone numbers must be your main point of contact because this is how we will reach out to you with regards to your grant. So either a cell phone number works or just something where we're able to reach you by phone as well. And lastly, just a reminder, if you have questions, please contact us at yes@fpcc.ca. My phone number here, 250-883-1793 as well. You can call me on that. If you send an email to the yes email, you can also look on there and book appointments with Aurora or myself. You're able to pull up our schedules and see when a certain time may work best for you. And we hope that you will register with us for our question and answer on Thursday, January 9th from 12 to 1, where we can answer any questions or clarify anything you may need help with regards to the YES application. So thank you all so much for watching.